Hi, my name is Hannah, and for my communications project, I chose the interpersonal choice project, and for my topic, I chose codependency. I think codependency is really prevalent in a lot of relationships today, especially among younger people, and it just shows kind of the darker side of interpersonal relationships and what you may encounter. In a codependent relationship, there's two people who are really reliant on each other. There's one person who is giving their all to a relationship, and they're just giving like their time and emotions and energy into this relationship. And then there's another person who's just receiving. They're really just taking all these things from their partner and not really offering anything in return. This creates like a big power imbalance because there's one person who's just not really doing any of the work in the relationship, and then there's another person who's just really trying and really giving their all. Both of these people become unsatisfied when they're not fulfilling their roles. When the person who is giving isn't giving, they might feel kind of bad about it. And the person who's not receiving, they're gonna feel bad when they're not getting anything from the other person. It creates a toxic relationship, and you can't live that way forever. It's just really unhealthy for all of the people involved, and you shouldn't be completely reliant on another person for just all of your happiness. So for the person who is taking, there's someone who's just always taking from their partner, and they're not really giving anything in return to the relationship. And oftentimes these people have self-destructive behaviors themselves, and they might take this out on their partner with things like physical abuse, emotional abuse, or even financial abuse. They might use economic abuse by controlling all of the money and not letting their partner get any of the money so that their partner can't leave. They can't leave the relationship. And they might also isolate them from their friends and family, so they have no one to reach out to try to leave the relationship. They'll repeat these abusive acts, and they might also have issues like jealousy, where they just feel like they can't let their partner out of their sight, they can't have any friends. They might also kind of bully their partner, do things like gossip so that their friends will leave them, talk behind their back, that kind of thing. And this behavior just becomes really normalized in the relationship, which is bad because that's not how a relationship should be, and it just creates a toxic cycle. And the person who's giving in this relationship suffers a lot because they feel unworthy or undeserving because the person never gives them affection. And a lot of times in these relationships, they think if they continue to give everything from themselves that eventually they'll get something in return. These people who are giving also kind of enable the self-destructive behaviors of the other person, and they just let it keep happening, which is really bad. They may face different kinds of abuse from their partner, like even physical abuse, and it's really bad if there's outside forces involved like kids, and the kids have to kind of see that and grow up with that. It can also be bad for the family members of both parties because they might not really see their families, especially for the person who's giving in the relationship. They might get really isolated from their families and not be able to see them, and just damages a lot of their relationships on their side. In this relationship, they just become really reliant on each other for everything, and they feel like they can't leave each other, and it just makes really bad cycles form. And if they don't stop the cycles, they can go on like that for a while. But eventually there's usually a breaking point. There's some kind of event in the relationship that's going to happen. Like maybe the person who's giving finally kind of gives out. They are tired of not receiving anything, and they might lash out or just completely shut down. And then the person who's receiving in the relationship, a lot of the times their self-destructive behaviors could eventually get the best of them, and things such as drug abuse and just other things could lead to them having a breaking point, having some kind of big event that happens that leads to them maybe just not being able to be in the relationship anymore. Maybe they have to go to rehab, something like that. And eventually the relationship does get broken up, even though they're really reliant on each other. So yeah. Sometimes in these relationships you can manage it and you can fix the codependency if you realize the power imbalance and you recognize these behaviors and try to stop them, and you use productive conflict resolution skills. You can try to repair this relationship and make it better, but you can't continue in a codependent relationship, and oftentimes it doesn't end up lasting.